Why won't your family talk to you? Because I told the entire church what my aunt did and what my grandmother helped cover up. Growing up, my family was proud. Proud of our values, proud of our pew on the third row every Sunday, proud of the fact that our potluck dishes never had leftovers. My grandma used to say, "We serve grace with a smile and hide the rest under the table." I learned early on what that meant. I was raised by my grandmother after my mom left. Not passed, left. Nobody ever explained why. It was one of those subjects where silence meant survival. My Aunt June, grandma's oldest daughter, lived 2 blocks over with her husband and kids, and she was the golden child. Sunday school teacher, PTA leader, ran the bake sale, the whole package. I was 12 the first time I saw something I couldn't forget. June's oldest daughter, Becca, showed up to church with long sleeves in 90-degree heat and sat stiff as a board next to her dad. She didn't hug anyone, didn't even make eye contact with me. Later that week, I saw her outside my window sitting alone behind the shed, crying into a notebook. I didn't know what it meant then, but I kept seeing things. I saw how her brothers joked loudly while she stayed silent, how June would snap at her for the smallest things, and how grandma would change the subject anytime someone asked how Becca was doing in school. Then Becca turned 16 and moved in with us. No reason given. Just needed a change of scenery. She barely spoke. She walked around like a ghost. One night, she tried sneaking out with nothing but a backpack, and grandma caught her on the porch. There was a huge fight. I wasn't allowed to hear most of it, but I do remember one line, clear as day. If you tell anyone, they'll blame you. That was the first time I saw Becca cry in front of someone. 2 years later, Becca left for college across the country and never came back. I didn't hear from her until I was 23. She called late one night and said, "I heard what happened to you. I'm sorry. I wanted to call sooner." That's when everything clicked. The silent dinners, the covered bruises, the things left unsaid for years. Turns out my uncle, the same one who'd bring me candy every Christmas, had been the reason Becca left. And June knew. Grandma knew. They all knew. And they told her to stay quiet. And now I was getting the same treatment. Different details, different man, but the same silent rules. I snapped. Instead of silence, I wrote it all down. Every memory, every red flag, every dinner where someone changed the subject. Then I emailed it. Not to the police, not to a therapist, to the entire congregation mailing list, pastor included. I told them how our family tree was just rotten roots painted gold, how we'd spent generations covering mold with potpourri and calling it perfume. I didn't name names. I didn't have to. Every line of that letter was soaked in implication, and everyone who'd been paying attention knew exactly who I meant. The fallout was instant. I wasn't just cut off, I was excommunicated. My grandmother called me poison. Aunt June said I was mentally unwell and needed help. My cousins blocked me on everything, but then something happened. 3 women I barely knew from church reached out privately. Each said the same thing. I believe you. One of them, a woman I'd only ever seen singing in the choir, sent me a photo of a journal entry her daughter had written about my uncle years ago. Another had a niece who used to be friends with Becca and had always wondered why she vanished so fast. Within weeks, a quiet storm started. Women whispering, sharing stories, building timelines. I didn't press charges. Most of us never did. But Aunt June's husband moved out of state. Grandma stopped hosting potlucks. The third row pew stayed empty for months. I live 2 towns over now. Work at a nonprofit, volunteer at a crisis line on weekends.